anxiety level is kind of up there, and it's visible. The person trying to help you can see it. As a customer service individual, what can they do to help you? Yes?
Well, because I did work at Starbucks.
Yes, tell me.
But when I saw that, like, sometimes I would just, like, sometimes when it would happen, it would be people that go there all the time. So
Okay.
I'd be like, I already have your drink ready for you. Like, it's all good. Or, like, you could even just be like, good luck on your test. Because, like, they just like stuff like that. So I just realized that. Just,
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
little things.
That's excellent. Yes. That's a great example. Thank you very much. Can anyone else think of what it would be helpful if they could do? Yes.
Not to toot my own horn, but I also use Starbucks.
I had no idea.
And one thing that I have with every customer is I try to make every person that I talk to smile, whether that like be compliment their earrings or like their hair, something like that.
Yeah.
Just something small, so that nice little interaction just like kind of takes you away from your stressful situation.
Yeah, I know. I want to go work at Starbucks now. That's excellent. Those are two really great examples. Anyone else? Anyone else? Yes.
I didn't work at Starbucks. I definitely just give them some positive words of encouragement, let them know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's dark now.
That's good. That's good. So what the theme is here, that person, what's going to help you is if that person maybe approaches you in a calm manner. Is that fair to say? So calm. So they're not matching your level of anxiety. So they're coming in calm. And maybe taking the time, they're listening to, maybe they know what you need or ahead of time, or they're listening to you, or they're giving you a compliment, whatever it is. But they're sort of de-escalating the situation for you. And maybe that's going to make you a little calmer. So now, let's say you ask the person that's helping you what the, well, you guys can help me out, medium blend, what the medium blend is. And the person looks at you and doesn't know. No answer. So now how do you feel?
I'd be like, how do you not?
We group night every day. All right, somebody that hasn't worked at Starbucks. What do you think? How would you feel if the person that you expected to know the answer to your question didn't know? Like had no idea, didn't ask anyone, nothing. Yes.
I'd be like, well, what do I do now? Like,
What? Yeah. So that anxiety that you already felt, now you're kind of like, well, now what? So where do I go next? I saw a hand.
Oh, I'd honestly be annoyed. Like, why are you even here?
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. All right. Different scenario. Same situation though. So you ask what the medium blend is, and they start to answer you. They start to tell you. And turns out that because they were calm, you kind of calmed down at the same time, and you looked up and you realized that they're right there behind where they're standing. And you're like, oh, my bad. And as you're looking at the medium blend, you realize that they're telling you something different. Now how do you feel?
Oh my god.
I'm not bashing on Starbucks here. This is just my example, okay? I like Starbucks. How do you feel?
like I'm not going to trust them to ask
That
me.
you're not going to trust them, yeah. So I guess the moral to this is that the role that you guys are playing is so vital that it's not just the scheduling classes and that kind of stuff. It's dealing with all the other stuff that's also happening that as advisors, whether it's a professional advisor or as a peer advisor, you're coming across on, maybe not every student. You're going to have those students that are well rested and can get their workout in at night, and they're cool. But other students are going to be a little bit more stressed out. And so, remaining calm, and I think the important part is if you don't know the answer, knowing when to stop and ask somebody the questions, and so that you have that confidence in yourself. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. And to sort of piggyback on that, while the academic advisors in the advising center, so at every orientation day, I'll have an involvement in both the degree requirements presentation and I'll be at every single lab. Many of my colleagues will be at every single lab, so they'll be filtering out. They'll be more on a rotation than I will be. But there's going to be multiple of us there every single lab. And we're relying on all of the ambassadors heavily to help us answer these questions. But we also understand that this training is pretty intense. So you're not going to know all the answers. And there's going to be some times where a student's going to have an answer that we don't expect you to be able to answer. Because it's not on a peer-to-peer level. It's more, for whatever reason, a professional advisor needs to step in. But so knowing when to stop and knowing who to come grab and when to come grab them. But both myself and my colleagues are never going to be upset if you stop and ask them a question, because we know that you're just trying to help the student. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So, I have this on the slide, I don't have my puzzle piece slide. I'll show you that next, actually, hold on just a second, I do have my puzzle piece. So, there's a lot of different things that go into advising. So, some of the things we're going to be talking about are the graduation requirements, and we're going to go through each of the 9 graduation requirements in depth. We're going to be talking about the advising tools. So advising tools are important because together, using all of the advising tools together, this is what's going to help a student put their schedule together. And this is what's going to keep them on track. So when we do the degree requirements presentation, we explain to students that we want them to think of their schedule every semester like a puzzle. Bless you.
Thank you.
And these are the tools that you're going to use to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And these are the things that we're going to be talking about. These are the advising tools. So we're going to be starting with a general catalog. We're going to be spending quite a bit of time in there. And then we're going to be moving on to the major academic plan and the personal information sheet, and then the degree evaluation. So we spend quite a bit of time on each of these tools so that you understand each one and you understand how the students are going to use them in order to navigate through their entire stay at SDSU. So if you were doing a puzzle and you flipped the box around so you weren't looking at the picture, you're going to forget pieces of the puzzle, right? So you're going to get all the way to the end of the puzzle and you're going to realize you're missing pieces. So that's kind of like a degree. If a student's not using all the pieces of the puzzle, all the tools, then they will likely miss something. So we want to make sure that they're not just using a map, not just using a catalog by itself, but using them all in combination. So that's why we have to go through sort of methodically so that you understand how to use each tool. But in the end, when we recap it, we want you to be able to pull all of them together and use them together. Does that make sense? So as we go through the training, I'll be calling on volunteers. I'll be asking for feedback like I just did. I really appreciate if you raise your hand, if you can give us some, answer a question or volunteer to read something from the catalog or whatever tool we're working on. We're going to be doing some activities, so sometimes I'm going to be able to keep you in, but you're spread out by TI groups, right? Not today, okay, but going forward?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, that would be helpful, I think, because a lot of the activities I sort of did so that I could keep groups together, so that we can minimize them having to move around a lot, because that'll help you guys so you're not feeling rushed like you have to move around a lot. So we'll be doing that. We'll be doing some, has anyone used Kahoot before? Alright, cool. We'll be using Kahoot to go over some things. Poll Everywhere? Anyone use Poll Everywhere? Poll Everywhere? Does anyone use that one? That's kind of cool. That's also sort of like Kahoot where it's interactive, but instead of basically the presenter asks a question and then you get to type in your answer to that question, usually a word or 2 words or something like that. We'll be using that. And then we will also be doing a couple other things to try to keep things fun. So every year we do an opportunity drawing. So what this is, my little thing, if everyone can read it. So this is the opportunity drawing box. And so every time your name goes in the box, and it can go in for various reasons. At the end of training, I'm going to pick one name from the box. Obviously, the more times that your name has gotten entered, the higher your chance of getting picked is. And that person, whoever gets picked, will be getting something. I'm not supposed to call it not supposed to use certain words, so you'll be getting something. So different ways you can get put into the opportunity drawing box. You can, if you get a 90 or higher, so remember the expectation is 80%, so if you get a 90% on any quiz or on the final, you'll get your name put into the box. I like to do a thing called Wacky Sock Wednesday, and it's going to be even better this year. I'm going to do a soundbite with the title of each sock.
Wow.
I know, right? It's mind blowing. I came up with that yesterday. So every week, I'll show you a picture of the socks that I'm wearing. They won't actually, I'm not going to stand up here and show you because that's awkward. So you'll see a picture of it. I'll have a sound bite if I prove to be technologically savvy enough. At the end, probably on the last quiz, you'll vote on your favorite sock. And the sock that gets the most votes, whoever voted for that particular sock will get an entry in the drawing. Some other ways, as we're doing different activities, there may be points associated with those. And so if you get those points are also associated with opportunity drawing entries. And sometimes you can just say something that's really cool and you'll get an entry. It's true, right? Yeah. Or you just have a really good, you raise your hand and you just have a really good thing that you wanted to contribute, and those will get you in the drawing box. The other thing is, we're going to be doing some of the reviews we're going to be doing. I guess I should explain. I'm obsessed with sports, just as a heads up. I love sports, just about every kind-ish. So usually my reviews, and particularly the last review that we do, are somewhat sports related. So of course, it has to be, this year is going to be soccer. So we will be doing, for some of our reviews, we're going to be doing what I call a soccer ball review. So how this is going to work is, you can see that there's more, it's more gray than black. We'll call it gray. There's more gray patches and gray shapes, and there's some yellow. So there'll be questions associated with the gray and questions associated with the yellow. So if you say gray shape, you're going to get a question that's maybe a little bit easier because it's only worth 1 point. But if you ask for a yellow, it's going to be worth 2 or 3 points and might be a little bit more complicated. So when we're doing the soccer ball review, what I'll do is, first I'll say your name. I'll make sure you're ready. And I will toss the ball to you, preferably underhanded. I have pretty good aim, but I don't want to take anyone out. I'll toss the ball. The rookie will decide when they catch the ball if they want a gray or a yellow question. I will ask that question. If they get the question correct, they'll get the points. If they get the question incorrect, they'll toss the ball back to me, and I will choose the next rookie to answer that question. If they get the question right, they get the points. They also get to toss it to somebody on another team. Just quick little common sense things. Make sure you say the person's name and make sure they're prepared to catch the soccer ball. If you're doubting your tossing abilities, feel free to hand off the ball by walking over to them. That sound good? Any questions on that? No? Okay. And then that might be part of our big review, and there might be more to go along with that, but we'll save that. All right. Frankie, Eunice, did I cover everything? Okay. Anything from the TIs?
I just wanted to reiterate how, like, when Ross and I were sitting back here, I've never seen, like, this little puzzle piece